Hello everyone. Nice to be here today. So today I'm going to talk about the power of our truth. I've been talking a lot about power. I've got another one prepared for tomorrow as well. So one of the most valuable things we can do in life is to know our truth, to share our truth, to own it, to own who we are, to own how we feel. And so that's what I want to talk about today. And I have notes because I'm really going to try to be concise here and in the future as well. So learning how to speak that truth and share that with others without feeling the shame of it. I mean, we might have moments of embarrassment for sure. And I think when we first start practicing this, that we might feel some shame, and that's okay. And one of the things we can do is practice with people who care about us. And you might even tell them that, like, hey, I'm going to really start practicing saying things that feel real to me, saying things that feel true to me. And that's a really great way to practice in a safe environment. Because if we're practicing where we're not safe, we might get shut down. The feelings might overwhelm us, and it might be a super negative experience. So practicing with people who care about you and letting them know what you're doing and that you might do it wrong because we're human, right? And sometimes when we're practicing our truth, it comes out in harsh ways because if we weren't listened to in our lives, if we didn't have people in our lives that actually treasured what we had to say, what we have had to think, or what we've thought in our lives, then it makes it harder for us to be able to share that. And so, and we might have some built up tension behind it that causes us to blast out what we are thinking and feeling in that moment. And so when we can practice with people who care about us and maybe even have a safe word around it, like so that they know that, you know, if it came out sideways, if it came out wrong, then you can, say the safe word, Chicago. I don't care what the safe word is, but then they'll know that, oh yeah, that they're just practicing. They're taking a chance at this. So there's many things to consider when we're practicing to speak out our truth, to own our truth, to own who we are, and if we're owning our truth, if we're owning who we are, we're also owning our imperfections. And so that's when it gets hard because we have our history. You know, I talked about this yesterday. We have our history and we have the hard things that have happened in our lives that we were shamed when we started to do this kind of stuff. And then add on top of that we're sharing our imperfections. We're moving into the possibility of imperfections. And that's a scary, scary thing. And that's why having people around us that can support us is huge. So we also have to think about overcoming the shame and fear and doing work on that, because shame and fear will absolutely come up when we're speaking our truth. Take baby steps. Do not jump into this. Just take little tiny baby steps, one thing at a time. You'll feel it if you're doing too much. Pull back. It's okay. You don't have to conquer the world in a day. Get support from like-minded people. I talked a little bit about that, but find your people. And I guarantee you, your people are out there. They are absolutely out there. So the people who can support you and care about you and allow you to stretch, they're there. The other thing to think about is if we're going to stretch ourselves, if we're going to speak our truth out there, the change of that, the feeling of that change is going to be discomfort, like significant discomfort when we're stretching and growing, because parts of us that didn't allow that to happen before are going to want to release and go, and those things hurt. Those things are hard. And so giving ourselves some grace and compassion around the discomfort of stretching ourselves is huge. And that's a good one. So just know that there's going to be discomfort involved with this as well. Get listened to. At one point I'll explain to you the listening practice that I do, but I share support with other adults where I get a chance to stretch and grow and tell my truth, even if it's crazy and doesn't make sense, but it's what I'm thinking and feeling in the moment. And then I get to figure out what is real and what's just kind of, you know, big feelings that are happening, and what are some things that are my past is bringing in with all this as well. So that's another piece in terms of getting listened to when you're really trying to share your truth, and getting comfortable with vulnerability. Vulnerability is hard. Vulnerability is scary. You know, that's all part of this. But also vulnerability takes courage. Vulnerability helps us to tackle our fears. Vulnerability is what helps us stretch and grow. And so learning how to have a relationship with vulnerability and sit in our vulnerability to say, oh, there it is. I'm feeling that. Whoa. And notice it is huge, and really a growth promoting thing to have. So I think it's always good for us to have a relationship with vulnerability. And it is a practice. It's a total practice, because, you know, we may never reach it. We may never reach a place where we actually share our truth in all situations. Like, I definitely am not there. I can share my truth with certain people and certain situations. And so just to think of it as a practice, it's not about being perfect. It's about making an effort to be more, to show more of the gifts you came to show the universe, to share more of the gifts that you have within you. And then also, just in terms of ways to do it, you know, one of the things that I really focus on are the I statements. And, you know, I statements are really about owning your thoughts and your feelings and who you are. So I'm scared. I'm, you know, what your feelings and experiences are. I can't accept being treated that way. Versus, you're doing this to me. It's more about, this is what my experience is, and I'm owning this, and I get to say what my experience is. And my experience and my feelings are valid as well. And it's a way, so I mean, an example for me is that recently I was invited to Bali and to do some work, actually. And it was kind of, it's an event that's already planned. And so they could partially pay for my services, but not fully pay for my services. And at first it was like, well, it's Bali. What am I supposed to say to that? Yeah, I want to go to Bali. But then, you know, after I thought about it, I really could just, you know, my truth is that, you know, my value is more important to me than a trip somewhere on the planet that's beautiful. And there's many beautiful places on the planet. So, but my value is worth a lot to me, and my education and my experience is worth a lot to me. And so I made the decision not to go to, like, well, what I did is I shared my, you know, my truth with them in terms of, I deserve better than this. And that's just kind of how it ended. And it was a great experience, and they were appreciative of that too. So, so things like, you know, being able to say things like, I'm afraid, or hi, Denise. Thank you, Denise, for letting me know that, for my picture. Or when you can say that I'm hurting, right? Like, I'm hurting. I know that for myself anyway, I get in these situations where I'm like, oh, this isn't going well. I don't know what's going on. I'm just hurting, or something's happening. But even to express that without knowing what it is super powerful. Because that's also your truth. I don't have all the answers. I'm a human being, right? Like, I don't typically say that, but I don't have all the answers, but something's not sitting right with me, and I need to explore it, and I need time. And that's how I own it. That's how I step into my power. So we don't have to have the answers. We don't have to be perfect. But I invite you to step into owning your truth. Hi, Evie. I'm just closing up here, actually. So, yeah, but I'm just inviting you to step into your truth, into who you are, and to step into your experiences in life and own them and share them. So thank you so much. And if you enjoyed this, please let me know if you watch this replay, and pass it around if you found it valuable to you. Thank you. Have an amazing day.